Good day, everyone. I'm your instructor for today. I'm Michelangelo Maglacay, a registered psychometrician. And our topic for today is the second part of the introduction to the theories of personality. First, let us have a short recap about personality. Well, according to our last previous lecture discussion video, personality came from the word persona, which is a Latin word for mask. It is a conceptual definition that is commonly used by laymen to describe physical attractiveness. And personality is defined as individual differences in characteristic pattern of thinking, feeling, and behaving factors and forces behind an individual's motivation. Personality can also be defined as relatively permanent traits and unique characteristics with consistency and individuality of person's behavior. Whereas relatively permanent means that it gradually changes over time. Like our personality, it gradually changes over time. Personality also has traits which are predisposed. And predisposed means that it is something liable or inclined to a specific attitude, action, or condition. And it is also genetic, meaning that we inherit it from the nature or from our parents. Whereas heredity is a definition of the things that we inherit from our parents. And then it also has characteristics which can be molded combined with the environment. Now you might be wondering why we have to study the different theories of personality. And these are a lot of theories and are all competing with each other. That's why we have to tackle about why there are many competing theories. So first, there is no single theory to explain a certain phenomenon or a certain personality. We have to combine all of the theories of personality in order to understand why people behave and why what is the composition of this person's personality. And then theorists have different life experiences which leads them to construe different ideas. Since we believe in individual differences, all the theories that created these theories of personality have unique personalities as well. When theories came from the word theoria, refers to the act of contemplating about something. We are thinking about it always, and then we try to understand, and therefore we create a theoria. And then to convert it into English, they use the word theory, which is groups of assumptions that explains abstract constructs based on logical, deductive reasoning to form testable hypotheses constructed by people, and take note, not by nature. To continue, theory of personality means it is a set of beliefs that help us understand human nature. And these theories of personality came from hypothesis, which is an educated guess or tentative answers to the problems that are testable about personality. We can differentiate hypothesis from speculation as well, where speculation is only based on intuition and sometimes it is not testable. Unlike hypothesis, it is testable. And it is also, we will also define taxonomy, which means that it's a classification of things according to their natural relationship. So when you create a hypothesis, you must remember that it's not an speculation and it should be taxonomized, where you can classify your theory according to its natural relationship. If we plan to create a scientific theory, these are the things that you need to know about building scientific theories. First, there is this inductive theories. It is created from a solid database, started from gathering particular data before creating a general conclusion. In short, from specific to general. So, for example, saying that smoking is deadly after gathering such evidences. And then we also have these deductive theories, which can be precisely stated and tested, starting from the general idea or from the general to the specific. An example from this is that gathering evidences to prove that smoking is deadly, whereas gathering evidences is the general idea and that smoking is deadly is the specific idea. We also have these postulates, which is a fundamental or core assumptions of a theory that are taken as self-evidently true, finding corollaries to support the postulate, expounded by George Kelly's theory. Cite for example, humans are very complex beings. And then we also have these propositions, whereas propositions is a general relational statements that may be true or false. It is not tested directly but used to derive hypotheses like a hypothesis of a theory, but it is anchored with a postulate. We also need conceptual definitions. These are concepts in the hypothesis defined precisely for accurate measures. It varies. It varies in every theory and not measurable. So, for example, in psychoanalysis, anxiety is an indication that there is an impending danger. If you would analyze that example, is it really true that anxiety means there is an impending danger? And then we also have these operational definitions. Whereas operational definition means procedures or operations used to define particular constructs. It is measurable. If the conceptual definition is not measurable, operational definitions are measurable. So for example, anxiety is shortness of breath and cold sweat, which means you can identify that there's a shortness of breath and there's a cold sweat coming down from your body if you feel anxiety. That is operational definition. In short, describing the operation of certain theories. And then we have replication. In replication or repetition or of an experiment or study. Duplication or repetition of an experiment or study. One way to measure is using the external validity of a theory. If it is modifiable or plagiarized. Then what is external validity? Simply means that external validity is the generalization of a theory. It can be used in the natural environment. Common people experiences such behaviors and thoughts. Or just a sample of external validity. Now, how do we test these theories? We use different methods to test theories. And testing of theories includes experimental, where it is a cause and effect of variables. It must have two levels of independent variable and at least one dependent variable. It also must have a random assignment. There are also assumptions in research as well. We have to use manipulation and control when we are doing an experiment. And sometimes experiments falls on quasi-experiments because they lack control. Cite for example is the Facebook videos. We don't know which video that we watch in the Facebook or the social media is true or hoax. And then sometimes we use grouping in a experiment. And grouping individuals according to their predisposed characteristics is not a pure experiment. Example for that is that you base your experiment on gender and race. Another way to test a theory is using the within subjects design, whereas it is a one group, but it receives all the different treatment conditions. And then we also have this between subject designs, when we say between subjects, it is two groups who receive different treatment conditions respectively. And of course, when using when we are experimenting on a certain theories of personality, we must use correlational techniques. It is the association of variables to know the relationship where we must not conclude the one affect the other. The one affects the other, or the other is affected by the other one. And then when we are using correlational techniques, we must take note of the correlation coefficient, or R. Remember that it is a quantifiable measurement, or quantifiable value. It must range from -1 to +1. The signs, the positive and the negative sign, only indicates the direction of the experiment. If we say that it is a negative sign, or it is on a negative correlation, it means that the experiment only flows on a different direction. For example, more practice of writing or reading leads to less mistakes. That means negative correlation. If we use positive correlation, it might mean that more practice lead to perfection. And then we also have this case studies, wherein the case study is an in-depth or of a particular case or topic, in-depth analysis of a particularly case or topic. It aims to create a treatment plan. We use case studies in clinical psychology to study a certain mental disorder or mental illness of a certain person, to identify what is the perfect treatment plan for that mental illness or mental disorder. Since we are studying theories of personality, it is also pertinent that we would be studying personality itself. And there are ways to study personality. First, we have the academic psychology, whereas the precursor is Wilhelm Wundt. It focuses on uncovering the general principles of personality through research methods or academic settings. We also have this proposed by Sigmund Freud, the clinical practice, where we uses case history method or case studies of a patient and provide a psychotherapeutic or clinical environment in a clinical setting. Now we will dive in on the focuses of the theories of personality. We have psychodynamic family, humanistic existential, cognitive social, and traits and dispositional. First, we will discuss the psychodynamic family, where it means that early childhood relationships. It focuses on early childhood relationships. And the lifespan approach, where personality develops in stages throughout the lifespan, is part of the study in psychodynamic family, since case history method and case studies are used in the psychodynamic family. We also have the humanistic existential, which means the ability of the person to achieve their full potential. In the last slide, it discusses about the good-naturedness of the human personality. And humanistic approach is optimistic. One of the theorists who are being optimistic in their theories of personality is Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow. And it also includes positive psychology, a relatively new field of psychology that combines on the emphasis of hope, optimism, and well-being with an emphasis on research and assessment. It is also existential or pessimistic. It is to live, is to suffer, and one is born alone and will die alone, yet believes in the power of the individual to achieve its full potential. It has no structure or framework. Like sample of the theories of personality of Viktor Frankl and Rollo May. We also have this cognitive social. Part of the cognitive social is that in social, it is a behavioristic approach. It focuses more on the environment, while the cognitive focuses more on the mental process. The social learning is the internal cognitive variables that mediate between stimulus and response. And if there is a stimulus and response, there's of course this interaction. And interactionist is the one who believes that behavior results from an interaction of environmental variables and person variables, including cognition. Now, there's also this another group of theories of personality, which is the traits and dispositional. They are more focused on genetics and biological. Thus, in genetic approach, they focus more on the importance of genetic factors in the formation of traits. Now, we believe that all people are unique, right? And all people live a different lifestyle based on their personality. Thus, the theories of personality create a general lifestyle themes for each person or for a person. Well, let's talk about them. First is the getter. Well, the getter, they exploit and manipulate life and others to get what he or she wants. As long as he get it, he can manipulate and exploit people. We also have this driver, this lifestyle, the driver lifestyle. They work over conscientiously, they are over ambitious and committed. Totally committed. They want to move forward, move on, drive and go anywhere they want. But they are totally committed people. We have this controller. They are a lifestyle of people who likes to control life to prevent being controlled. I'm the boss of my own. No one can control me. And then we also have this pleaser. Pleaser lifestyle means that they want to please everyone to get approval and positive evaluation. Well, I have a lot of friends who are pleaser. The more friends you have, the more possibility that you are a pleaser. And then we have victim. They creatively but subtly pursues disaster and suffers obviously to elicit sympathy. They create their own mischief in life and then earn sympathy from the people around them so that the people around them will help them, get near them, get close to them. Then we have this martyr. These martyr people, there's a lot of martyr people, especially when it comes to love. They suffer visibly like victim for a noble cause. An example of love, being in love. If you love someone, regardless of the red flags, regardless if you are being hurt, you love them, you sacrifice for them, but the truth is, you're just being a martyr. And then we also have this baby. Well, babies, they try to gain others' favor by being very cute and very charming. In Filipino words, they're like kikay. Baby, being a baby, they want themselves to be treated like a baby by acting cute, acting beautiful, and acting pretty. That wraps up the entirety of our introduction to theories of personality. Thank you for watching, everyone. I'm not requiring, but I'm hoping that you will subscribe for more lecture video presentations. Thank you and God bless.